In this video, I want to talk to you about reading aloud and how it can help you with your language, and just in general why it's a really good thing to do from time to time. So reading aloud is something that maybe you had to do at school and it was horrible, and so as a grown up you just don't do it because you remember being 10 and the teacher making you read and everyone laughed at you and it was awful. And I think it's a shame that reading aloud is associated with school, because it can bring us so many benefits, not just in the language that you're learning, but actually also in your first language too. So for language learners, the most basic reason that you could read aloud is that it will just increase your time of speaking English. Yeah, so it's a really common problem with my students. They don't have speaking partners, they don't have a lot of time to practice speaking. So reading aloud is a great way to increase your speaking time. It's a great way to boost the amount of time that you can actually produce spoken English. And that brings me to the second point. Reading is a receptive skill, right? So you get your book and you receive information from the book. When you speak, you are producing language. You have turned that receptive skill into a productive skill. Now, when we produce language, we make it much more easy to remember. And if you read aloud a book or an article or whatever your text is, you are going to, number one, remember the vocabulary and information better, and number two, you will understand the text more than if you read in silence. So reading aloud can bring you a lot of different benefits. So here's a few tips on how you can practice this at home. So number one would be just to do a few minutes of reading aloud whenever possible. So, maybe you go on to the internet and you find an article, perhaps just read one paragraph aloud. You don't have to read it all aloud, but just a little bit of practice can really be beneficial. When you are reading something very complicated and you really don't understand, read it aloud. Reading aloud slows you down and it helps you to process the information more easily. When you're learning vocabulary, this is a great time to read aloud. Yeah, most of us, when we review vocabulary, we do it in silence, but if you do it aloud, you're producing, you're saying the words, and all my learners tell me that's one of the biggest challenges they have with English, being able to produce new language. So when you review it aloud. If you're reading a story, perhaps a novel or a graded reader, get the MP3 version and listen to somebody else reading aloud too. It's really, well, number one, it's lovely to listen to someone else. Number two, you get listening practice as well as reading practice. And actually it can really, really boost your understanding of the text if you listen and read together. And finally, if you're in an exam situation, obviously you cannot read aloud. You cannot sit in IELTS and read your IELTS passages aloud. It's not possible. But you can read them silently as though it was aloud, but with no sound, like this. No one can hear you, but you are still getting some of the benefits of reading aloud. Now, the big disadvantage to reading aloud is it's very much slower. So you don't want to do this all the time, okay? Reading aloud is a skill that can help you, but you definitely need to keep practicing. Skim reading, scanning, reading for detail, all those other reading skills. If you would like more information about this, please click the link below. That will take you to my blog where I've got lots and lots of great tips about different learning strategies to help you become a better language learner. My name is Sarah. I'm an English teacher and language anxiety coach. I help people overcome their fear of speaking and using English. Thank you for watching.